So I want to share a story from a realization that I had that was a big revelation for me. And it has helped me tremendously in my life. And I want to share this in case anyone at all resonates or can find um, any similarities or um, or if it mirrors anything going on in their life and their experience. So, for years, I would have a ton of energy um, rise up, and it would be very, very frenetic, very intense. And what I would always do is, as a feeler, I would feel into it as deeply as I could. Uh, but it more times than not would have me end up feeling dissociated. And so I want to explain and share the whole uh, the whole process that would happen. What would happen is a lot of energy would come up. It would feel amazing. I would try to feel it more, and I would dive into the energy as much as I could. And it would go from me originally feeling it to me trying to feel it. And that's a really important note here in this whole story. I would feel it, which was natural, and then I would go and try to feel it, which was me splitting myself. The trying was me splitting myself because I was leaving my center. And you can't actually be disconnected fully in that way. It feels like disconnection. You know, you're still connected, but you're not like fully in your center, so you don't feel fully connected. So you're stretching yourself really thin, which will leave you feeling dissociated because you're not fully associated with your center. So this went on for years in different ways, in different capacities. You know, there would be days I would be able to feel it for a while, really good and fully, and then it would like, what would happen, this is an important part here too, the energy would it would lessen at some point. It would go down, and I would start to worry. Where's it going? Where's this beautiful feeling going? I want to get it back. And so I would dive towards it, and I would try to feel it more. And then in doing so, in the trying, I would pretty much always, without a doubt, end up feeling dissociated. And so there was one night where I fully, like really, like as full as I could, which I didn't know before. I thought it before I was doing this, but there was one night where the energy came up really, really intense, and it was so intense that I was able to just relax into it more and had no worry about it going anywhere. And it would stay for a while. And that when I would allow myself to feel it fully, I had so many of these unwinding patterns going on, and my body was twisting and contorting and going into all of these different, um, you know, all these different positions and acting out like I always speak to, just like those, those just acting out uh, expressions that were repressed from some point in my life, and a lot of these were, it was very obvious that they were pre-verbal. I had a lot of experiences where it was very obviously I was expressing things that I must have experienced uh, as a baby, even, it was just very obvious to me, like how, what was actually happening here and like where these were coming from. And felt amazing, felt intense, but all very. I was able to just stay very grounded and present throughout the entire thing, and like no need to chase anything. So what would happen is like a wave of these would come, and I was, just surrender to it fully and allow myself to feel it fully without chasing it. And then, a lot of these different patterns I always talk about would come up. But there were so many, like back to back to back. Instead of just like one or two, there was like a series of them going on. It would just be like one would happen, and then another, and then another, and then another. And so many of these were taking place, um, that I didn't feel, I guess, that normal need to want to chase after them. So I would just like, they were so intense that I would actually just like almost welcome the relaxation, and I would actually welcome the relaxation. The relaxation in after like a series of them would feel amazing. It just, like after a series of them, it felt like I just did like a crazy intense workout, and like I would just lay down, just so peaceful, so relaxed, so calm, no energy. Because obviously there was energy, but it was still. It was still and very deep, right? Like a like a lake. It was a body of water is the best way to. It was like a really just deep body of water, right? And so I would rest in that, and I would be very present, very calm, and that very still feeling. It felt very pristine. So after not long, maybe 30 seconds or so after being in that beautiful still place, another wave and surge of this really intense energy would arise and come up, and I would welcome it back very happily because that always felt like home, this intense energy. And I would basically just be riding these really intense waves of energy again, loving that just as much, if not more, than the stillness. And so after this cycle repeating a few times, uh, it became really obvious to me how hard it was to just stay in this still, calm, pristine lake of energy. And everything, not everything, every time, what would precede the wave of intense energy arising was a fear that intense energy that I love and crave so much would never come back. If I stayed in the calmness, where would be that where would that intensity be? Would it ever come back? And so that fear, that thought, would kick on this surge of super intense energy. And it would come back, and I'd be grateful for it, and I would ride it again, and I would go into it again, and I would come out the other side fired up, but now in this beautiful place of stillness again, willing to relax because I was not chasing it this time. I was able to just be with it and ride it fully centered, fully there the entire time, and not once go into an ounce of chasing. This was the entire experience this evening for me. And in doing so, after this cycle repeating a few times, the realization that I had was that what I had been doing there, and it's what I've been doing for years and probably my entire life, was I would never allow myself to be calm because I craved this feeling of intensity so much. So what I would do is I would cause my own fear and then ride the surge of fear until it was basically over. And what had happened and what I realized I was doing here is I was addicted to my own fear cycle. I was completely addicted to my own fear cycle that I was creating inside myself. It's fucking crazy. I've lived so much of my life in fear, so much of it, so much fear. So much unconscious fear, obviously, and a lot what felt, there was just so much fear. And I had been creating it the entire time for my own amusement, for my own enjoyment, because I had become chemically dependent on the fear chemicals. It was the deepest addiction that I've ever felt. And this is coming from someone who has experienced heroin addiction, crack addiction, cigarettes, alcohol, weed, like all the drugs, all the different things. There's been so many different layers of addiction in my life. I mean, first I had to quit the external hard addictions, and then they became less and less obvious. Like at first it was heroin and crack. That was the main addiction. Obviously, no one's going to argue with you that you have a problem there. You can see it when you want to see it. It's pretty obvious. It's no secret. And then it became lesser and lesser things. But this one, I can make a whole different video about all the different addiction things. I would like to at some point, because that's a whole thing. So this one was wild. And since then, since that realization, it has been so easy for me to realize that the energy, A, is not going anywhere. B, it's always there. It's my energy. And I don't need to cause it. I can bring it up whenever I want. It's there. It's available for me. But it's going to come on its own when it's supposed to. So now I can feel every single time any surge of that energy arises, instead of going into it and trying to chase it and all these things, I just relax into it, enjoy it while it's here, whether it's fear, whether it's anything else. Just relax. And then it passes after, and right back into calm, right back into my center. And then when it comes again later, whenever that is, whether it's later that day, whether it's the next day, whether it's in 5 minutes, enjoy it again. Don't chase it. Let it be there. Let it go away. Back in my center. And in doing so, and let me say that too, you're never not in your center. When you're experiencing this, you're experiencing all these feelings, these surges of energy from your center, which is the best place to feel it for many reasons. Is one, you don't lose yourself, and B, it feels fucking awesome. Doesn't matter what it is. Fear feels incredible. They all feel good. Fear, excitement, joy, happiness, sadness. They all feel good. So what doesn't feel good is when you feel like you're in lack and you're not going to get a certain feeling back. So you feel like you have to chase something. You have to chase a feeling that's already inside of you. You don't have to chase a feeling that's already inside of you. Whichever one it is, it's already inside of you. You don't have to chase it. It will arise at the perfect time when it wants to arise, when it's time for it to arise, and that's when you feel it fully. Stay blessed.